So she said former award-winning. Did they take those awards away from you?
Award-winning former journalist. Is that better?
That's better.
What are you, a language Nazi?
Yeah.
So, thanks for coming to my living room.
You're welcome. Good to be here.
Last time we met, we were in the Como studios doing our two-part interview.
Right.
And then we've had a little bit of interchange back and forth over the past couple of weeks around listener comments to
Right.
that, to that interview. But so it's great to have a chance to sit down with you for a concentrated period of time without news, traffic, weather, and commercials in between us. And just get your thoughts about how conscious capitalism can really be taken out of the kind of philosophical cloud and onto the ground running, which is a lot of what you try to do at Starbucks, as I understand. So the first question I want to ask you is also the first question I asked you on the radio show. Why Howard Behar? In other words, not why did your parents name you that, but
yeah, they could have picked a better name than Howard. Thank God it was Harold on the birth certificate, and she crossed it off. Thank God she crossed that off. No, I hope there's not another Harold here.
But why were you the guy? Why were you the right guy to take Starbucks from a company, from a small local company, to an international phenomenon? Why were you that guy?
Well, you know, I don't believe I was that guy. I mean, I was part of a team that did it. I think what, you know, I mean, without Howard Schultz's drive and ambition and perseverance and wanting to be a star, it would never have become as big as it became. He really had that drive. You know, it would have been, for me, it would have been nice, a nice little company west of the Mississippi. Hell, I would have had a nice little company in Seattle. You know, I didn't have those kind of dreams. I had, my dreams were more values-oriented dreams about how I wanted to do things. But, you know, when
we'll get into that in a minute,
yeah,
but
when I got there, is that what you want? When I got there, about why me?
Well, I mean, yeah, so maybe you didn't have the ambition, the vision that Howard Schultz had, but clearly you were a fit for the guy as the president of Starbucks International. You were a fit, somehow personality, leadership, style-wise, to be the guy to shepherd that huge expansion.
I was a perfect fit.
Why?
I love people. I loved coffee. I liked entrepreneurial-oriented companies, which this one was, and I love freedom. I love to be able to create. And so here was this jewel, and Howard Schultz said, your job is to run operations. And Howard was 10 years younger than I. He was like 32 or 33. He'd never run much of anything of any size before. So here I came along, and a guy named Orin Smith, and we were called the gray hairs. We were in our mid-40s, right? But I had this passion about people, and I saw this company, and I recognized before I went to work for what it was about. I had worked before I took the job, before Howard extended the invitation, I said, can I go to work in the company for a week? Because I want to see what's real here and what isn't, and you get a chance to look at me. And so I did. I worked for free for a week. I worked in the roasting plant, putting Costco coffee in bags. This was before there was a machine to do it. My hands and my feet, I was so tired coming home after those 2 days. I hadn't been used to doing anything like that.
But man, did you smell good.
I smelled great, yeah. And then I worked in the stores for a couple of days, and then I went out in the truck for a day delivering coffee to restaurants. And after that week, I knew somehow that this was my place, that this was a place that the values that I believed in, the things that I wanted to do. Before I went to, I had a list about things that what I wanted to do. I was, you know, it was in mid-40s, so you know, it wasn't like I was going to have a whole bunch more of careers left. So I had to make sure that it fit what I wanted, and I had everything on that list checked. One of the biggest things was that I wanted everybody to be able to get to vote. And what I mean by that is that everybody in their own area of expertise got to give their opinion about what the decisions that need to be made in the company. I mean, somebody that was sweeping the floors wasn't going to choose the IPO price, but in terms of how to keep stores clean, then we had to listen to them. And so I saw this connection between a product and people, the biggest connection I'd ever seen. You know, it's a coffee business. It is what it is, right? You drink a cup of coffee, you know, you have a conversation with yourself. I hope some of you do that. It's really a rewarding experience. And so it was just that there was an emotional fit, there was a values fit. Howard was raised in a very poor family in Canarsie, New York, in the housing projects. And he said, I want everybody to have health insurance, because his dad never had any. And so one of the first things we did was we put health insurance for everybody in the company. The CEO had the same exact health insurance as a barista if you worked more than 20 hours a week, and 90% did. So it was just values driven, and that made a difference to me. So it was a perfect fit, and it allowed me to shine the things that mattered in my life. It allowed me to express those and to create a reality out of them.
So a lot of what I want to do in this conversation is to talk about things like that, healthcare for all employees right at the beginning, to talk about what conscious capitalism companies do that traditional companies don't do, partly as a way to give people ideas about how to take these kind of lofty values that seem to some unattainable in the context of the values base of our traditional corporate culture, and to actually hit the ground running with them. But before we get to that, I want to ask you about you've recently published a book called The Magic Cup.
Right.
So say a little bit about it. It's different.
It's different. It's a fable, and it's everybody that reads it that knows me said, "How did that come out of you?" And I said, "I don't know, but I had this dream about I wanted a children's book for adults. I wanted a story that of what's the fictional story about the young
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. I wanted a Harry Potter kind of story that talked about business and leadership and values, but I wanted it to be readable, and everything in it had to have a truth to it, and most of them came from my own personal experiences. So that's why I wanted to do it. I wanted to enjoy it. My granddaughter, who's 15 years old, she started proofing that book when she was 12. I gave her all the first ones, and she went after me. She's a real smart young woman, and she was a little girl. She's not now. I can't say that to her anymore. But she would go after it and tell me where she thought I was off. I rewrote it 5 times until finally she said, "Okay, it's good."
But she didn't get writing credit.
She got credit in there, but no writing credit.
Okay, so so your earlier book,
Yeah.
which is called "It's Not About the Coffee," which I think is an inspired title and truly representative of your values, and the tagline is, or the subtitle is, "Lessons on Putting People First from a Life at Starbucks." And in that book, you talk about 10 leadership principles, and a lot of these tie into the conscious capitalism principles. And both the book Conscious Capitalism and your book made me think, they kind of scream idealism,
Yes.
right? So, if we're conscious capitalists, we're idealists, but have you found at all that idealism to be an obstacle to effectively running the kind of practicalities of a day-to-day mega corporation?
I wouldn't be telling the truth if I didn't say there weren't conflicts. There are conflicts. There are always trade-offs in all of our lives, whether it's family or whatever it happens to be. There's these series of trade-offs that you make. And in running a business of any size, and particularly one the size of Starbucks, there's trade-offs that you make. The question is how do you make those trade-offs? And what's your tilt? Right? Is your intention to always make trade-offs as much as you can towards your people, the people you serve, your customers, the people you buy things from, your suppliers, and the communities in which you live, and versus tilting towards marketplace capitalism, which puts the tilt towards shareholders. And I think that's been the key is making that tilt towards people, towards serving the communities in which you live and serving the people that work and the people that buy your product.